What's up, guys? TCMuze. I know the intro says soul, hip hop, and jazz, but on this one, we're going straight for the hip hop. We're staying all the way true to the roots, going back to one of my favorite groups of all time, back to my childhood, De La Soul. We're about to make a beat, maybe even drop some lyrics. All right, let's get into it. Rest in peace to Dave Trugoy, the Dove. We miss you, brother. So what I decided to do, instead of programming in my own drums, I said, let's keep it old school. Let's use a drum break. So I brought up Empire breaks from Native Instruments. I used this Ode to You kit, and I used the main 4 drum loop. Let's take a listen to it. It was nice, right? So basically, let's just go ahead and do this. Let's go over here and let's just drop it into our sequence. That's the nice thing about here. You can just drag it and drop it right into your sequence. Boom. So now I can just hit play and it'll play back. Now I like the way it was sounding, but I wanted to hit a little harder. So what I did was I put a little knock on it. Let's take a look. So here's knock, still in the default preset. I just changed some of the settings, added some punch and saturation, even clipped it a little bit more. Now, if you watch over here, you can see that even though it seems like it's gonna get louder, you're not losing any headroom, which is crazy. So I'm gonna turn knock on and off, but watch this level over here. Crazy, right? The perceived loudness is, really present, but you didn't lose any headroom. Hey, if you made it this far, do me a favor, like and subscribe. All right, so let's move on. Now that we got the drums in, the next thing I decided to do was play some keys in. And if you know anything about De La Soul, everything that they do, not everything, a lot of the things that they do are very kind of lighthearted and fun. So with the keys, I wanted to play something in that sounded kind of fun and carnival-ish, just like super lighthearted. So let me show you what I decided to play in. Next thing I decided to do was pull up this Arturia June 6 V. Basically, it's a Juno or a Jupiter emulation. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to put something behind that first instrument just to give it a little bit of pulse. You know me, I like to keep it moving, or at least put something in there to kind of give the beat some type of movement. Now, what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna play something super simple behind it. I'm actually gonna keep this B note on top, and then I'm just gonna walk up from the C to the D to the F to the G, and it's just gonna give it some movement and pulse. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So that was pretty simple. We just kind of put it in, walked up on that bass note or the lower note. A lot of common tones, but not all the tones match the melody. And that's something that, groups would do back in the day. Like they would take loops from anywhere and everywhere and not all of them match. If it was close enough, it was good enough. So we're gonna use that same methodology, that same thought process to add in some pianos. And it's gonna sound close enough, but it's not gonna match, but that's okay. It's gonna like rub a little bit. So I pulled up a piano from Arturia. Let me show you the piano. There we go, neglected upright. So it's gonna sound a little old, dusty, and beat up. Let me just show you what I'm gonna put in. I'm gonna put in some diodes. It's kind of like chords, but instead of chords, it's just 2 notes. And I'm just gonna, again, pulse on it, 8th notes, and that's gonna be it. right, so that was easy, right? We put in some melodic elements, no big deal. We just need to put in one thing, put in a little bass. We're gonna put in a sub just to hold down the low end. We're gonna keep it nice and easy. The pattern that we're gonna use is gonna be very carnival-like. It's just gonna be just a little plain, basic, but very kind of like in that carnival, like merry-go-round, Ferris wheel type feel. Now for the bass, I'm using Pigments. I'm using 8/0 bass. Check it out. All right, let me play it in. Stop talking you to death. All right, so we got all the elements in for the beat. Got a nice little break beat, low end, some instruments that are playing kind of in the same realm, but not quite. So it kind of gives that little old school rub of like loops and samples that go together, but are kind of off slightly. In the spirit of keeping it real to real, as we used to do back in the old school, I'm going to take a moment, put together a little verse, drop it on top, and let you guys kind of hear my best impression of what these guys, De La Soul, legendary, used to sound like. All right, so I wrote my vocals, I recorded them in. I'm gonna show you how I processed them, but let me tell you how I wrote them. They're nonsensical, they're all over the place. They make sense, but they don't make sense, which is, you know, classic for this old school era of style of hip hop. So I looked around the studio, I was like, okay, I can rap about guitars and I have some candies here. So we're going to talk about sweets, desserts, guitars, and then of course we're going to relate it to heartbreak. So all of that is going on in the rhyme, but we're just keeping it light and fun. Now let me tell you how I processed the vocals once I had them recorded. In the essence of keeping it old school, I did not go and use a condenser mic. I used this dynamic mic to record just to get it, you know, rough, ready, whatever you wanted to say. I just didn't get it ultra polished, but I'm going to play you guys like 2 bars just to hear the vocal as it was recorded, and then what I used to process it to kind of bring it up, but then also dirty it up. So I'm going to bypass everything and I'm going to let you hear the vocal raw. Pick up a phone and just leave me alone. I'm like LL, baby, I'm the future of the funk mail. So what I noticed there was I wanted to give it a little bit more edge. So I brought up Safari pedals, Dragon EQ, added some drive, boosted some mids, cut some lows, and then also boosted some highs. Let's hear it now. I'm gonna punch it in so you can hear the before and after. Pick up a phone and just leave me alone. I'm like LL, baby, I'm the future of the funk mail. Pick up a phone and just leave me alone. I'm like LL, baby, I'm the future of the funk mail. So as you can see right there, we just added a lot of edge, a lot of grit, right? The next thing I wanted to do was then say, okay, well, let's clean that up. We don't want it crazy. So I boosted some levels here on this using this EQ from Waves, the F6 with the RTA. And then I wanted to compress it, use the IK Multimedia 1176 simulation, and we're going to do about 3 dB of gain reduction. And then from there, I put on, again, Safari pedals. If you don't really know, I'm kind of digging these. Just they do a thing, and it definitely is something that it's a flavor that I like. So the next thing that I used was this Ladybug reverb from Safari pedals. You know, they just do a thing, they have flavor. I blended it in at 12% just to put it in a space. I want it to be a slightly dirty space. That's why I went here. Let's take a listen. Pick up a phone and just leave me alone. I'm like LL, baby, I'm the future of the funk mail. Pick up a phone and just leave me alone. And then the last thing I wanted to do was put in kind of like a 1/8 delay, but I wanted to grab something that would automatically duck it, because as you can see, I'm putting all of this right on the track, inserting, not doing a send. What I did was I just engaged the ducker at 90%, and you can hear the doubles or the delays coming back and forth in whenever I'm taking breaths. Here, let's take a listen. Pick up a phone and just leave me alone. I'm like LL. You see, as I stop, it just rings out, but as I'm rapping, it's ducking it. So that's how I process the vocals. And just to all the beginners out there, don't let anybody tell you you need super premium mics or this, that, and other. You can do a lot with a dynamic microphone. All right, so now without further to do, let's hear what I put down. All right, in the meantime, of course, stay up. TCM. Excuse me, miss, don't try to blow up my spotlight out of the blue. You got the wrong head stop like Kalamazoo. To the F, pick up a phone and just leave me alone. I'm like LL, baby, I'm the future of the funk man. Lost the cannabis, but still very, very blunt. Kickoffs and coin toss, trying to tell you from the jump. I'm not a pushover, and this ain't what you want. I used to fiend for your love and used to fiend for your sweetness, and not the whole cup, just the itty bitty pieces. Got rejected and had to head to the bleachers. Skittles and Starbursts couldn't return the sweetness, so go on with the cavities and everything else. I ain't interested no more, find somebody else. Found some healthier options that didn't require labor and shopping. Come on, man. TCM.